Sectors Up Close. I'm Elena Casas. Today we're talking about airlines, and my guest is Greg Hahn, President and CIO of Winthrop Capital Management. Now, no one can deny the last few years have been tough for the aviation industry. COVID lockdowns and the economic harm they did trapped many airlines in a spiral of financial chaos. Airlines lost tens of billions of dollars, and indeed some collapsed under the strain. Even this year, as much of the world returns to normal, the trade body IATA estimates losses probably amounted to some $7 billion globally. Nevertheless, the industry is once again in takeoff mode. Demand in North America is now close to pre-pandemic levels, and the sector is likely to be back in profit in 2023. The latest data suggests the region is the world's best performing aviation market, and that's evident when you compare the S&P 500 Airlines Index with the S&P 500 as a whole. But the recovery is anything but even. Asia remains stuck at the gate, and Europe too is struggling to lift off. So, are airlines about to fly high in 2023? Greg Hahn joins me from Winthrop Capital Management. Greg, hi, thanks for joining us. Now, particularly in
Hi,
North
Elena.
America, are airlines now firmly on a recovery path, or do you see challenges coming up in 2023?
Well, the answer is both. We think that the this last year has actually been a good year for airlines, and it's sustainable into 2023. But there are a number of challenges, including labor, fuel costs. There's still a pilot shortage that's we expect to work out next year. But I think the real question is how sustainable are these financials, particularly revenue, in the face of a potential recession?
And which airlines are best positioned to cope with those challenges then? The biggest legacy players or the lower cost ones?
Well, I think the answer on our side, we think that Delta and Southwest have strong catalysts to support it, and United also, because of its international footprint, should do well with a strong dollar. And that'll support, I think, a large part of what's going on with United. But Delta, we're looking for $7 a share in earnings, and they've got some benefits, especially if business travel comes back strong.
We saw some consolidation in the sector this year, especially with the JetBlue Spirit deal. Is that something you would expect to see more of going forward?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it too with the ultra low cost carriers that we do expect to see some roll up with ultra low cost carriers. The other part of this too is that the Max 737 Max, the Boeing jet, is substantially more fuel efficient, and we'll see that make inroads not only into the larger carriers like Delta, but also into the ultra low cost carriers as well. It allows them to compete.
The IATA says it sees profits of around $4.7 billion globally for the industry in 2023. Do you think that will give them the margin that airlines need to keep expanding?
We do. The part of the expansion problem has been just supply chain issues. With Boeing's challenges with the 737 Max program, and just getting that into market, and the supply chain disruptions, capacity has been constrained, which forced prices higher. We think that that's going to continue. We should see some relief in the airplane deliveries second half of next year, which will help capacity.
And what about the Inflation Reduction Act? Because in the US, that does provide a significant amount of cash injection, doesn't it, from the federal government to try and push airlines towards more sustainable aviation fuel. And what might that mean for their bottom line?
So I think at the net, it's going to help. Some airlines have hedged their fuel costs, like Southwest, and there's some benefit that we should see carrying into 2023 with those hedges. And then the ultimately a reduction in overall oil prices. I think a large part of that's going to be coming out of Europe and what happens with the Ukraine and Russia situation. But otherwise, we net we do see lower fuel costs over the next 2 years.
And if we come back briefly to the demand picture, obviously on the leisure side, especially with Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays, we are seeing strong
Mhm.
demand in North America. But is that consistent across all sectors? What about business travel?
That's the wild card. We have not seen business travel come up, and a lot of that has to do with this working remote issue. So as companies reform, we expect that we go back to more normal business type behaviors, and business travel should pick up in 2023. Delta should be a big beneficiary of that, and Southwest a big beneficiary of the consumer travel.
I know you've mentioned you think that United, Delta and Southwest are all strong, but for an investor, where's the starting point for getting into this sector?
Valuation. So we have to be careful about where valuation is, and Delta is it trades a little bit at a premium, and so does Southwest. So we have to just be careful that we're not overpaying and just buying future earnings. We want to make sure that the companies are stepping into earnings, and there's these moving issues like pilots. We can't just create pilots, right? We have to and flight attendants have to come back from retirement, or we have to train new ones. That's been a challenge getting solving some of those puzzles.
Well, thanks so much for that insight, Greg Hahn, President and CIO of Winthrop Capital Management. And that's our look at the US airline sector. I'm Elena Casas, and this is Reuters.